It's that Barcelona, especially when Gavi left that game, Barcelona were no longer bringing any pressure into Real Betis' final third. The heat map from Busquets went from just over the midfield line to Barca's own half of the field. And once that line of confrontation, and I think that's the other thing too, that against Bayern Munich, as we're going to transition a little bit here, the line of confrontation is what terrifies me about the Bayern Munich. It's really like more than anything else. Because I mean, Benfica, and that was a credit to Barca when they had spells against Benfica and they looked like they were going to get that goal because Benfica were just playing for a draw. Barca were able to bring up that line of confrontation. They just didn't get the ball in the back of the net, which is, again, a endemic problem that we've been talking about for a while. And finishing, we already did that. But the line of confrontation, they were able to bring it higher. Against Real Betis, I don't think Barcelona, because they never really controlled that match, whether it was rotation, match fitness for a lot of players, whatever it was, they weren't, Real Betis were kind of playing it where they wanted to play it defensively. And so they never even, for more than 15, 20 minutes, right? Real Betis were not in a low block or even a medium block. They were basically playing it straight up. And prior to that, even Villarreal, Barcelona were able to pressure them, and they were forcing Unai Emery's team to. And you can talk about their problems. That's, I mean, you wrote about that actually, right? I think about their problems. So, but anyway, but forcing Villarreal, who wanted to play out, were still forced into a low block. And then against Espanyol, the same thing. Espanyol defended with all 11 players in the box at one point. So that was Barcelona bringing up the line of confrontation. And what was worrying about Real Betis is that they allowed Real Betis to play that match on their terms. The problem with Bayern Munich is that they're so good that they don't have to, I mean, they don't care where the line of confrontation is. They don't have one. The line of confrontation is wherever their really good players, which is all 11 of them, are on the field and how quickly they break through. They don't set up anything. So Barcelona, for the first time, I think even Benfica are a really good side, but they decided to let Barca possess the ball and let Barca control the game if they could. Right. And Barcelona, it ended 0-0 because Barcelona couldn't finish. But Bayern are going to be the first team that Xavi is going to play that is not going to but they're going to say, Barcelona, whether you have possession or not, we don't care. Our line of confrontation is going to be in your half. We're going to put you on the back foot. And I don't know how you're going to play out of that. And I mean, yeah, this one's tough. I don't know where you want to start with the Bayern preview here. Do you want to start with the memes and the lulz about Lewandowski and the Ballon d'Or? Or do you want to start with actual talking about tactics or trying to figure out a way that Barca has a chance?
I think the fascinating thing for me with this one is it's almost like the fact that Xavi is playing against Bayern and they need to win versus sort of Koeman in the first game of the Champions League group stages. And Koeman got so much criticism for the way that they played and the way that's set out and the negativity that he showed. How brave are you, Xavi? Like how much do you want to confront Bayern? And I saw, I mean, not that I believe that Sport have the inside track, but like Sport were reporting that he was going to go 3-4-3 for this game and go very attacking with kind of Dembele as the wide player on the right hand side of that. And yeah, it's a really interesting sort of mental battle. Is do you set your players out to be positive, to push high up and risk getting completely destroyed, or do you kind of balance it? I think you are going to have to defend at some point in this game, and that's a problem for Barcelona. They're just going to have to do the best they can when they're stuck kind of deep in their own half. I think for them, the most important thing is that, yeah, sort of neutralizing that press right after they win the ball. If you look at the game, I think where Bayern got beat 5-0 against Gladbach were just playing one-touch football. That's all they did essentially to get in behind Bayern to score goals against them. And it was impressive. And yeah, okay, that's probably the hardest thing to do in football is to play it one touch and be accurate. But yeah, Barcelona need to play the first 2-3 passes after they get the ball really quickly, hold on to it, or get in behind. One of the two. They cannot lose it. They cannot go backwards. They cannot go back to Ter Stegen because then they will lose the ball and it will become claustrophobic. I'll be interested to see how much Xavi puts on the line in the first 20 minutes, how much he kind of goes for it initially and sees if he can kind of get an early goal and get ahead, or whether he sort of waits it out and sort of, yeah, maybe sees if he can find something later on in the game.
Well, that possible 11 you're talking about that was put out there was Ter Stegen in net, Araujo, Piqué, and Eric Garcia along the back line, Nico, De Jong, Busquets, Gavi somewhere in the midfield, potentially two pivots and two interiors, and then Dembele, Memphis, and Alba from right to left across the top. And looking at that, I mean, as I kind of complimented Langley, I can't believe I'm saying this. I mean, again, I've kind of always pushed a bit for him for Eric because of his progressive passing and just how important he is to breaking a press. But with the way that Bayern are going to press and the ability they have to win those 50-50 balls to come right at you, I mean, just like in the first match, actually, it was Robert Lewandowski who was finding a way to match himself up 1v1 with Eric Garcia, and I don't want to see that again. So I think Lenglet, I think he's the only player from the Real Betis match that has earned the second straight start. So I actually would start Lenglet in place of in place of Eric Garcia, and then have Lenglet, Piqué, and Araujo all along the back line in that way. Again, I thought Lenglet was positive on the ball against Real Betis. He's going to be much largely tested against Bayern Munich to break that press, but again, he's a player that I would put confidence in to do that just based on his last performance and not the previous 3 seasons. So I know it's a lot to ask, but you have to have things go right for you if you're going to beat Bayern Munich. That's true. Yeah, and then De Jong, Busquets, Gabi, Nico, they're going to have to get in on that press. Whatever malaise it was, they're going to have to shake all that off. As I said, Busquets being the one that, again, was bright against Real Betis, I thought too. So all the other 3 have to, get back on the horse and figure it out. And I think this idea that Bayern Munich can athletically overrun Gabi, Nico, and Frankie de Jong, I mean, Busquets is one thing, but the other 3 should be able to go toe-to-toe with whoever it is, whether it's Tolisso or whether it is Mueller or Goretzka, whoever it may be. I mean, Gabi went after Goretzka in the first matchup. So it's not an athleticism or physicality thing. I mean, so to me, that physical game comes down to belief and system. And as you said, letting the ball beat Bayern instead of, which is what Mönchengladbach did, and not making sure, we have to be them. We have to be physical and 50-50. And I think that's overdone a bit. I think this Barcelona side with Nico and De Jong and Gabi have been physical enough on the press to win those 50-50 balls. And numerically, they are winning more of those duels. Barca are than their opponents have under Xavi, something they didn't necessarily do under Koeman. But they're winning more duels, especially those aerial duels in the air, and they're in the right positions. And is an extra, 1 or 2 training sessions enough to, refine those things? And then up top, as we said, with Dembele up there instead of, no offense to Easy Abde, and then Alba on the other side. If you start Alba just the winger and not right to say, Alba, you don't even have to worry about defending. You have Lenglet behind you or whatever. So get back when you need to, obviously, because Kingsley Coleman or whoever it is on that right wing, whether it's him or Gnabry, you're going to have to worry about them. But having somebody run off Memphis was so much brighter when Dembele is on the field. And if he is ready and fit to start this match, I don't care about his contract. I don't care about any of that. This match is all that matters. So you start Dembele because, I mean, there are no credits about his defensive ability. I mean, they're not saying they're non-existent, but put Araujo behind Dembele. And then you have Busquets and likely Nico on that right side as the right interior. Yeah, and then they have to defend for their lives. And then let Dembele go off to the races and try to make sure that Bayern cannot completely set up their entire attack in your half of the field. And then, unfortunately for Barca, it's another thing about the luck part of this. That Ansu, they're keeping him out, which I'm totally fine with because he's not ready. But in classic Barca luck, if you will, Kimmich is likely back for this match at the time of recording. He's likely going to be available. And Kimmich is one of the best players in the world. Full stop. That's it. Kimmich is one of the most commanding, important players. Even if he's having not his typical Kimmich year, he's just so good. And Barca just don't have Joshua Kimmich. They just don't. They don't. I mean, Frankie de Jong does part of it. Busquets does part of what he does. But I mean, Kimmich is just Kimmich. That's what it is. And so having him in that midfield, and then Lewandowski is the best striker in the world. And so you have a back line and a goalkeeper that are trying to find their fitness, trying to find their continuity, trying to find their organization. But I mean, facing Robert Lewandowski as you are a work in progress, no, obviously it doesn't give us any hope at all.
Yeah, and you mentioned kind of some of the Bayern players there. On a very basic level, Bayern are a better team than Barcelona. Like 11 against 11, they have better players. On another level, you've got Nagelsmann, who's a coach who knows how to tactically set up a team. He's proven as a manager. He's no soft touch. And so the very combination of those two very simplistic facts makes this, as you say, a miracle game for Barcelona. They need a miracle. On the other hand, you look at the kind of first 20, 30 minutes of that first leg, and if you want to find stuff to hang on to, Luuk de Jong did kind of almost get through one-on-one, but was just so slow that he couldn't quite get past the Bayern defender. If you swap that out for Dembele, then there's a chance. My one sort of point of interest is whether he moves Dembele a little bit inside, which I don't know if I want to do, but having him directly up against Alphonso Davies kind of negates part of what makes him so good. So I wonder if you kind of have him closer to Depay, get him in behind, and then Depay kind of dropping off a little bit more. It's an interesting it's a nightmare game to set up for Xavi, but he's going to really have to prove his chops. And I think we will see just how committed to the philosophy, in inverted commas, that he is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the thing, and they said about Bayern that those obviously people were talking about them not having a chance, but if he can get these players to believe in something, and there is something I think in sports that is unspoken, that isn't just coming down to tactics. Because you're right, on paper, even if Bayern Munich, the players aren't up to it, Nagelsmann at halftime will figure something out. They have the talent to be able to bring somebody off the bench to even change a match if things aren't going well. And meanwhile, if Xavi starts at 11, he's going to look down his bench and go, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what happens here. I don't know what we do. I mean, he just doesn't have the personnel to be able to completely turn a match on its head the way Bayern could do by putting in, whether it's Gnabry from the bench or Coman from the bench or whoever it may be that doesn't start this match for Bayern Munich, because they just have so many talented players. And more significantly, I think the thing I'm worried about is that Barcelona has never won in Bavaria, even at their best, even in the days of Messi. Bayern are just so much more comfortable, even at home, even without the fans. And they make you know about it. They're emboldened. They're confident. And so for Barcelona, I want to see them match their confidence in the way that Benfica did. Because yes, Bayern got through Benfica, but it took a long time. I mean, even against Dortmund, the one thing I will say about Bayern Munich is, yes, even while their defense is much more stable than Barcelona's at the moment, it's the one spot where you go, I'm not sure about that, right? If he starts, that being Nagelman, if he starts Sula, Dembele can beat Sula 1v1. I mean, he can get around him. There is a way through that Bayern Munich defense that we have seen a few teams do this season. I mean, even yes, Barca don't have Erling Haaland, but Dortmund were finding space, and if not for Mats Hummels, Dortmund won that match. And I mean, that's something where, yes, Bayern won, the Klassiker, and obviously all the news is Lewandowski again, right? And that's all it is, that to the sword went Dortmund. But Dortmund, they shot themselves in the foot. And for Bayern Munich, it is playing to their level, yes, but it's also mitigating your own issues in a way that, as I said against Real Betis, I thought Barca as a team kind of beat themselves. And that always gives me hope, and where I continue, I mean, to be overly optimistic about Xavi. He's not some savior, of course not. But I think Xavi is such a thinker, and we've read stuff in The Athletic from Dermot Corrigan that Xavi is so intense and so concerned about every minute tactic detail, every minute detail about emotion, about individual players, about where a player's headspace is at, what their pre-match routine or ritual is. And he is still tinkering with all those things, and it's a process, sure. But there is this bizarre world where he's able to get the best out of the 11 that he puts on the field. And you're right that these are world-class players that we've seen. De Jong, one pass touching with Netherlands. We've seen Busquets, Gavi. We've seen Nico capable of it. These are players that are capable of this thing. I mean, Barca still have a world 11 that all 11 that we named, other than Nico, are international caliber players. I mean, even PK, for the Catalan national team now. But anyway, I mean, he's a World Cup winner and all that stuff. But you have, I mean, class players all around Barcelona. And if Xavi can find a way to get them to believe, it might just come down to something like that. And yeah, then you put your faith in Dinamo Kiev on the other side of it. I mean, that is part of it too. But I don't know. So answer me this, Rory. So what should I be reacting with? How should I feel? What should be my first words if Barcelona don't manage to get by Bayern Munich? I mean, let's say, God forbid, the worst scenario where they draw with Bayern Munich and Benfica bids Dinamo Kiev. I mean, give me that situation. But I mean, what should I say? I mean, I know even if it's expected that Barcelona are not going to get the result they want and drop the Europa League, what's the first thought after that?
I think if Barcelona draw against Bayern Munich, you have to look at it as a progress. I mean, they've not been able to compete with Bayern at all in recent years. And so if they manage to go to Bavaria and get a draw, you have to look at it as progress and just curse the luck that Koeman was there kind of longer than he needed to be.
Okay. So I guess that was too easy. That was too easy for you. Okay. So what happens if Bayern Munich do the Bayern Munich thing and Barcelona lose 4-0 in Bavaria and they just weren't as good? Where do we go from there with Barcelona heading down to the Europa League?
I think part of it depends on the context of the match and how Barcelona set up. If they do similar things to the things they did under Koeman and they lose in the exact same way, then yeah, you've got to ask a few questions of Xavi, and that isn't good. If they go out, they give their best, they can't finish again, and they get sort of close enough for 50, 60 minutes, again, I think you have to look at the positive side of that and just accept that this is a really rough season for Barcelona and they're going to struggle. Their aim for me has to be top 4, try and win a cup at the same time. Maybe that's Europa League. it's a really tricky situation. They're on a hiding to nothing. There is no kind of fallback for this Barcelona side or fallback for Xavi in a sense. They just need to win this for the money, essentially, in my mind, because I don't think either of us think Barca are going to go to the Champions League final and win it. I mean, mentality-wise, it'd be huge if they could get something out of Bayern here. But yeah, it's about money, and it's about being able to sort of make gains mentally, I think, for Barcelona, more than anything else.